On January 7, 1948, Captain Mantell sat in the cockpit of his F-51D Mustang flying just above the rolling green hills of Kentucky. He and 3 other pilots from the Kentucky Air National Guard's 165th Fighter Squadron had been participating in a routine low-altitude navigational training exercise. When he had taken off earlier that morning, he had no idea that today's flight would be anything but routine. Suddenly, Mantell's headphones crackled to life as a military controller far below requested he intercept a UFO that had been reported in the skies over Godman Army Airfield. Witnesses described it as a bright white craft. Some said it was round or resembling an ice cream cone, while others estimated it to be 200 to 300 feet in diameter. The object hovered at a high altitude and moved slowly at times before accelerating rapidly away, only to return over the airfield. The controller relayed the sighting to Captain Mantell. He and his wingmen climbed to 15,000 feet, with Mantell reporting the UFO still above them. Several hundred people in central Kentucky had already witnessed the UFO by 1:15 p.m. on that Wednesday, a day described by some observers as partly cloudy with high-altitude feathery cirrus clouds. With nearly 3,000 flight hours, much of it in combat, intercepting a bogey was second nature to Captain Mantell. But this bogey was unlike anything he'd seen before.
The object is directly ahead of me and above me now, moving at about half my speed.
What does the object look like, Captain?
It appears to be a metallic object, or possible reflections of sun from a metallic object, and it is of tremendous size.
The radar has him above 20,000 feet. You are cleared to engage.
Roger that. I'm still trying to close in for a better look. He's increased his rate of ascent. I don't know if I can maintain this rate of climb much longer.
Captain Mantell, your transmission is breaking up. Please repeat.
Mantell's aircraft was picked up on radar for the next 5 minutes. However, all communication with the pilot was lost. A half hour later, all 3 of Captain Mantell's wingmen landed safely. However, the only sign of the flight leader was a column of black smoke that could be seen for miles around. It wasn't long after that when reports began coming in about a fighter plane that had crashed near Franklin, Kentucky. Among the wreckage was the charred wristwatch belonging to Captain Mantell. Its hands had stopped on impact at 3:18 p.m. There were some who said that Mantell had been shot down when he tangled with the UFO. The Air Force blamed the crash on pilot error. To this day, there is a plaque on the spot where Captain Mantell's fighter crashed. Whether you believe the Air Force's crash assessment or not, one thing they didn't deny was the presence of a UFO.
Silly Earthlings, how can we help you save your planet if you don't communicate with us? Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video.
At approximately 8:30 p.m. October 1st, 1948, Second Lieutenant George F. Gorman, an experienced fighter pilot, was flying a P-51 Mustang on a routine night training mission. He'd been airborne for nearly 2 hours when he noticed a bright white light moving quickly through the sky. At the same time, an air traffic controller at Hector Airport in Fargo had just cleared a Piper Cub to land. Both the Piper Cub's pilot and its passenger also observed the strange light. Determined to investigate, Gorman radioed the tower and was informed that there were no other known aircraft in the area. He decided to pursue the object. As Gorman approached the object, it suddenly changed direction and began accelerating. When he closed in, the object made a sharp turn, evading his approach.
So you think you're gonna get away from me, do you? Think again!
For nearly 27 minutes, Gorman chased the object in a high-speed aerial duel. Each time he attempted to close the distance, the object outmaneuvered him, exhibiting instantaneous acceleration and extreme turns. At one point, the UFO suddenly reversed course and headed straight for his plane. Fearing a collision, Gorman veered sharply, but the object passed within a few hundred feet before rapidly climbing into the sky. Gorman attempted to pursue the object to 14,000 feet, but his P-51 Mustang began to stall, while the UFO continued its climb and disappeared from sight. All this time, Gorman maintained contact with air traffic control. Shaken but unharmed, he returned to base and filed a detailed report of his encounter. Within a few hours, military officers from Project Sign, the United States Air Force's study of UFO phenomena, arrived to interview Gorman, as well as the air traffic controller at Hector Airport.
I'm convinced that there was definite thought behind its maneuvers. The object was able to outturn my aircraft, and it was able to attain a far steeper climb than I was able to.
The investigators found that the Mustang was more radioactive than other fighters stationed at the field, proving that Gorman had flown close to an atomic-powered object. Their initial conclusion was that something remarkable had occurred to Gorman in the skies above Fargo. While the Air Force later claimed that Gorman had chased a weather balloon, UFO researchers regard the Gorman Dogfight as one of the most credible UFO encounters on record. Next week, I'll show you the time that the airspace over the nation's capital was breached not once, but twice in 1 month.